Tobias Ellwood. Tobias, this is a big day for the PM. All eyes on him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a long way away from all that. I'm here at the Doha Security Forum, but you're talking about something which is so important to the British people to understand what happened during this very difficult time that tested the world, indeed. And it's absolutely right that whether it be the Prime Minister or whoever, that they're able to be questioned, to be scrutinized about what happened in the past, so families can understand what happened, but also so we can learn lessons for the future. So as we've seen with Boris Johnson, who you mentioned, and others, it's an important process that we're now going through.
Tobias, we've watched Boris last week, who obviously got rightly criticised. We've seen MPs of all sides and scientists throw each and every other person under the bus. Difficult for Sunak, because you take Gove, for example, he's still in his cabinet. He's now the Prime Minister, he was the Chancellor. Everybody's got an opinion. Do you think he'll refrain from blaming current members of his government? Do you think he'll play it with a straight bat? Or is he's got skin in the game, as Nick said earlier? He's absolutely right. He's still in power. The rest of them haven't really got an option. Do you think it'll be different from him because of that?
I can only speak from where I sit right now. You know, the world's getting more angry, not less. It's getting, very complicated, moving into a dangerous era. And in fact, the world is watching what's going on in Britain, the tribal discord, the disagreements that were taking place. They're wanting to see greater UK influence on the international stage. They want to see, what they usually see from Britain, which is international leadership. I think the British people are less impressed by the tribal discord that we're seeing. We're so close to an election now. We should be supporting the Prime Minister. Of course, there will be policy scrutiny, whether it be over COVID, of what we should do or what we should have done better, and indeed over migration as well. We need thoughtful analysis. We actually need that, but it needs to be less confrontational, and we need to be focusing on shaping policy in the future and not pursuing long-term agendas. So let's remind ourselves of why we're elected, to be professional, to scrutinise policy, but also to put Britain's interests first.
And Tobias, you spoke about getting behind the Prime Minister just there and the importance of that. How will you be voting in the Commons tomorrow?
From the angle that I'm looking at, I came into British politics because I want to see Britain play an increased role on the international stage, the very things I've just been speaking about. Therefore, I'll be looking to make sure that we uphold international law, that we don't breach the ECHR. I know there's been lots of debate about this, but we helped shape this international treaty. We have helped craft treaties. That's who we are as a nation. And I just touched on that we've got many countries around the world, more authoritarian states, breaching international law. It's not a good look for us to step back to that and say it's okay just because we're pursuing a particular policy. Migration is so important. You discuss it on a regular basis. And I'm pleased that the legal migration numbers, we're going to be reduced by 300,000. Many policies put forward last week, which will be agreed by Labour, I think. That's a good move. But we've set Rwanda on this hill that the party seems to want to die on. And I think that's absolutely wrong. The Home Secretary has made it clear that this is one aspect of a wider strategy to deal with migration, which is of concern to the British people. But the Rwanda scheme itself, if it passes or it fails, should not be the be-all and end-all. It should not be what we stand, as a policy, as a manifesto commitment up there on its own in the next general election. I'll wait to hear what the Attorney General says today, who's going to, I think, be speaking and discussing this issues. Looking forward to what she has to say before I make up my own mind.
But Tobias, how will you be voting tomorrow?
I just said I need to hear from the Attorney General, who will provide her assessment.
Will you be voting tomorrow?
Sorry?
Will you be voting tomorrow?
Well, as I say, I hope to vote. I want to support the government. Whether I choose to abstain or not will depend on whether we support and uphold international law.
Or you'll be back tomorrow?
We'll be back.
You'll be back.
We'll be back, yes.
Tobias, can I throw something into the mix? Because everybody's got an opinion. We're always grateful to have you on. I find it almost impossible to believe that a Prime Minister who is in power has nailed his colours 100% to a mast of, well, at best it will deal with 500 people. We can argue from now till the cows come home about a deterrent. There's 170,000 people. Before we get into that debate about legal or illegal, the British people know there's 170,000 people. We have no processing system. We have a Home Office that's not fit for purpose. You're absolutely right when people say politicians need to be, well, they're elected to do the right thing. You talk about thoughtful analysis. You say it's not about different factions within a party or a government having a long-term agenda. I would respectfully suggest the biggest problem with politics at the moment is that politicians, and I don't include you, I don't mean this badly, but spend so much time going down a route just to protect their own, numbers in a constituency, their own seat, that we don't have any long-term planning, be it the Home Office, be it the NHS, be it whatever. And I think that the biggest issue that both you and Labour have is that people are fed up with politicians and they want a different approach. I think people, if I was an MP, I would be worried about the lack of the numbers of people who won't turn up at the next election because they're disillusioned with it, mate. I really believe that.
Yeah, I can't actually disagree with you. And to make matters worse, who would stand to be a politician in today's day and age? Because when you do show political curiosity, you find yourself in difficult waters, as I found myself. You're absolutely right. We want the best people to step forward. Politics has been very difficult over the last few years. And if we are to do well in the next general election, then we need to show unity. That's what the country wants to see.
Sorry
but the bigger picture here, to do with migration, if I could just finish this point, where I'm sitting here, Martin Griffiths just spoke today, one of the chief UN speakers, to say 1 in 5 children in the world are either enduring conflict or fleeing conflict. Extrapolate that forward. The scale of migration that we're about to endure over the next decade means the Rwanda policy itself alone will not be able to manage.
Tobias, we have to cut you, mate. I
don't
mean it bad. I know you've joined us from Doha. Always a pleasure. Really appreciate you being on. You are with Talk Today.